through this committee stage.
I call Clayton Mitchell.
It's great to be in a very engaging speech this afternoon, particularly from Mr McIndoe, who reminds me of a pit bull chewing a wasp with his references of frustration. And I look at his face and I understand the frustration that you feel, because the people back home, the vast majority of New Zealanders, feel exactly the same way about the nonsense that's going on with relation to this flag referendum.
Right.
Now, I have a great name and it's better than everything I've heard so far, and I think it's a name that should be seriously considered. In fact, it may even be worth putting in a supplementary order paper to this, but it's got to be called the Clayton's Flag Referendum Bill, because this is a flag referendum that you've got when you haven't got a referendum. Let's be honest, this is absolutely back to front the way we are doing this. This is about not asking the people of New Zealand first and foremost, do you want a flag change, yes or no? The polls can do it. The newspapers can go out there and ask the question, and we are largely hearing from the rank and file New Zealanders that they don't want this referendum. What we're also hearing is it's an absolute waste of money. Mr Chair, this bill may be better called the Waste of Taxpayers' Money Flag Referendums Bill, because that's exactly what it is.
That's right.
$26 million putting into a flag referendum that is an absolute waste of time, dialogue and money, because the vast majority of New Zealanders don't want it. We have got New Zealanders out there frustrated, faces like twisted sand shoes in frustration with the government because they won't stand up and listen to them, Mr McIndoe, and you're one of those people not listening. Anyway, he's giving a lot of this and not a lot of that. Mr Speaker, Mr Chair, I have to say that the amount of money that $26 million takes up would be around about 10% towards a better ferry system travelling for those commuters travelling from Wellington across to Picton. 10%, that's a hefty deposit for a new, reliable transportation inter-island ferry system, for example. $26 million, what that would do would upgrade around about 900 of our underfunded housing stock, our social housing stock around the country, and yet we decide this government says we can't afford to do all these things. We've got no money for it. But yet they can find $26 million, pull it out of their pocket and throw it on the table. It's absolutely disgusting. It's a disgrace that we're allowing ourselves to get into this debate because we've got a legacy that this government wants to leave behind, particularly what John Key wants to say he delivered for this country. Because we're seeing a lot of depression, we're seeing a lot of frustration out there with people in small businesses, and it's costing New Zealanders not only in their well-being, their mental state, it's costing them in their pockets as well. Mr Chair, this is nothing but a vanity fair. If this government was serious about putting a referendum forward, they would ask the question, do you want it first and foremost? If the answer was yes, then we could go into the whole discussion about what one of these flags would you like to see put forward. The flags that I've seen today and the comments that I'm hearing on social media and seeing in the newspaper is a disgrace. It's a debacle. With an open mind, I can't see one of those flags that jump out and go, well, being objective, that might work. They just don't. I'd like to go back to, this one here, the Gareth Morgan's winning flag. I go back to, that makes a little bit of sense. You've got Labour on the left. No, that's right. National on the right, and you've got New Zealand black and white coming up through the middle and separating you. And that's exactly what's going to happen. The polls will show it. They're starting to tell it now. This government's getting concerned about the movement, because I haven't heard anything about Mr McIndoe, you saying that New Zealand First haven't supported this in the past. We haven't supported it. We've been dead against it. We haven't been standing up there saying let's have a referendum prior to now. We have been the only party standing fast with our position on leaving New Zealand's flag as it is and not wasting taxpayers' money. Thank you, Mr Chair.
I call Ian